singers, it's Laura, and this is the weekly warm-up where I share clear, fun voice education to help you enjoy your singing even more. Today we're going to talk about something that seems very obvious, but is actually a real problem for most singers, and that's how do you know what you sound like? I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had the experience of hearing my voice on like a voice message or a sound recording, maybe a recording of a concert, and feeling shocked at what I hear because it's not at all what I thought I sounded like. Now, obviously, if we want to improve our singing or work on our singing, then we have to know what we actually sound like in the moment to know where we're starting and if we're moving in the direction we want to go. So it's really important to know what you sound like, but how can we actually do it? It's actually very hard to hear inside yourself what it sounds like in the room because it kind of makes sense. Your mouth is here, your ears are behind, and when you make a sound, the people out in the room are hearing just that sound in the context of the resonance of the room you're in, whereas you are hearing that sound kind of bouncing back to you from the room combined with a lot of vibration coming from the inside of your body. So we are not hearing ourselves in kind of a true and honest way. And so today I want to show you a few of my favorite tricks to help you get there, to help you become more aware of the sound that you're actually producing, and also to save you the necessity of constantly recording. I think recording is an amazing tool that you should definitely use in your practice. But if it's the only way you're able to monitor what you're doing, then you're not going to be building these other listening and feeling skills that are going to be what you need in the moment of performance to produce the sound that you want. So let's jump in. The first tool I'm going to show you is so simple, and it really just makes it easier for you to hear yourself. Now, I've seen people in choirs who maybe when they're sitting next to someone who's very loud or not singing the right notes, or maybe singing a different vocal line, sometimes I'll see singers who block off one ear. Now, if you just try that while speaking, you'll see that the voice sounds very different to yourself, but it's because we're now blocking off more of what's outside and just hearing those internal vibrations. Ideally, that's kind of the opposite of what we should be doing, because if you're singing in a choir, with an accompaniment, with a karaoke track, wouldn't you rather hear that and combine with it in a way that you could hear yourself also, rather than just trying to block that out so that you can be more sure of what you yourself are doing? So instead of blocking, try this. Make little cups with your hands, and I want you to put them behind your ears. So what I'm doing here is kind of cupping, and then I'm using this little satellite dish at different angles to adjust how I hear myself. What I'm doing now is hearing more of what's coming back to me through the room. So hearing more of my voice as it is blending with the resonance in the room and maybe other sounds in the room. And then that comes back to me and increases how much of that I can hear in comparison to those internal vibrations. So already I sound very different to myself. The effect is really changed when I change the angle. And of course you can do this with just one hand rather than both. This is also a great tool to use when you're practicing all by yourself, because you can get a truer sense of what your voice sounds like in the room, rather than, again, just hearing yourself through your body. The second tool I want to offer you is to trade loudness for resonance. So rather than thinking about trying to sing louder when you can't hear yourself, try and do something that will increase your resonance. You can either think about placing the sound higher and more forward. That's a great one. I've done a million videos on it. I'll try and put a few below or maybe up in the cards. The other thing to think of, which is a very simple way to do it, is to try to sing to a farther location. So aim for something that's a little farther away from you, and that will most likely trick your body into singing in a way that is more resonant. Singing that is more loud tends to feel more active right here, kind of right in front of us, whereas singing that is more resonant tends to feel like it is going farther. So rather than harder or more intense, singing that is traveling more. And when we do that, we actually tend to sing in a way that gives us more true sensation of what we're singing, rather than just a sensation of more intensity. So when I sing in a way that is more resonant, something like I can feel air traveling, I can feel more buzzing here. Whereas if I just try to sing loudly, what I'm feeling is kind of more muscular work happening, particularly in the neck, and it doesn't feel particularly good. So give that a try, trade in a little of that loudness and bump up the resonance, and I think that you will be able to have a better sense of what you sound like, you'll hear yourself better, and you'll sound better to the other people in the room. The third idea is a really important one, and that is to hear with your body. I already alluded to it in the second tip, but the idea is that when we sing, because our instrument is our body itself, you should always be working to build more awareness and more ability to sense what is happening inside of your body. So much of the singing that we do that is disadvantageous is because we're just not aware that we're doing it. We are not aware of tension or problems of alignment. And so the more that you can build up your awareness and attention to what you actually physically feel in your body as you sing, you will be able to control things better in the moment. So for example, let's say you practice at home in a room that is very dry and doesn't have a lot of echo, and then you give a performance in a church that is very boomy. You will have a different experience of what you're hearing. So how can you know what you sound like in these changed acoustics? Well, you can always trust that the sensations inside your body will be consistent because your body will be the same in both locations. So really work to pay attention to things like muscular work in the low belly, which is going to be an indicator of support. Look for tensions in the jaw, in the tongue, and in the lips. Look for that buzzing sensation that you'll get up in the mask, sometimes in the top of the head, maybe in the chest on lower tones, as you are singing with that increased resonance and decreased loudness. All of these are great indicators of what's happening with the sound. And the more you are able to pay close attention to those and sort of monitor those, you'll have a much better sense of what's coming out of your mouth and going out into the room. So I hope these 3 tips are useful for you. Take them into your practice this week, give them a try, and I'll see you next week. In the meanwhile, thanks for practicing. Like, subscribe. I'm so grateful for your time, and sing on.